All right, welcome everybody. It's been one of those days. Can you hear the sound of my voice? Background noise? Okay, everything all right? Let's see. Yes. Cool. All right, what I wanted to talk about today was, networking. It sounds like something, we ought to talk about occasionally. And what I'm going to do is let's see, just start this. And we're going to bounce around a little bit, but mostly I want to talk about some of the material that I have here and with some scripts and some suggestions and all sorts of fun stuff. It'll be a lot of fun. So you may have heard of this phrase before, that real estate is a contact sport. I don't know if you haven't heard of it, you have now. And this, by the way, is an actual picture of a group of real estate agents fighting over a listing referral. I don't know if you ever saw what it looked like, but that's what it looks like. And what we mean by a contact sport, I'll get that off. What we mean by a contact sport is that in order to do just about anything in real estate, in order to do something in real estate, we probably have to talk to people in person. Right? Now, I know that for some people, that's something that they try to avoid. Or even if you're doing internet marketing, eventually you have to talk to people in person. And I'm going to talk a little bit about personality styles a little bit later and how maybe to have your focus on how to get business to be something that your basic personality style supports. But if you want to grow your real estate business quickly, the most important thing you can do is to network. It is more important than your real estate education. It's going to be more important than your real estate marketing. And it's going to be more important than just about anything else you do for business. I've been a broker, let's just say, for a long, long time. And I've worked with companies that had hundreds, thousands of real estate agents. And I've been involved with, I have no idea how many transactions, but it's a huge number. And one of the things that I notice is that there are some agents who do a lot of business, and they are also terrible real estate agents. Their contracts are terrible. Their disclosures are terrible. Their customer service during the transaction is awful, right? They're really bad real estate agents, but they're selling real estate left and right. How could that be? And the answer is because they're good at networking. They're good at the art of talking to people. They're also oftentimes good at following up. They don't seem to understand the contract. They don't seem to understand what's going on when they're in a transaction, but boy, they have a lot of transactions. On the other hand, I meet people that are technically good. They know how to fill out the contract. They researched and studied, and they're taking all the different classes. They just don't have anybody to do it with. So if you, by the way, are both, right, you're both good at talking to people, and you're also good at the contracts and the disclosures and the customer service, you're going to do a whole lot better. But if it was just down to making money, and you had to pick, be a good talker, a good networker, or a good technical agent, being the talker and being the networker will pay a lot better. But of course, you guys are good at both. Not only is networking a shortcut to success, but it can help you build long-term business. Right? In other words, if you're good at networking, this is sometimes referred to as a channel account. Channel, like a river channel or something like that, or a television channel or some sort of a channel. And what a channel account means is that this is a source of business that keeps on giving. Those of you that have sat through my my sessions and watched my YouTube channel, which is, by the way, Upthink Real Estate. Right? I have a YouTube channel with hundreds of videos. Be sure to subscribe and click the like button. I'm just saying, just be sure to do that. You'll notice I'm not a big fan of cold calling and door knocking and all that sort of stuff. If I were to go out door knocking, first of all, those techniques, cold calling, for sale by owners, expired listings, circle prospecting, that's what they were teaching back in the 1980s. How do I know that? Don't ask. Let's just assume I know what they were teaching back in the 1980s, right? It just hasn't changed. The world has changed, but not those systems of getting real estate business. And if I went out knocking on doors, and by the way, you have to knock on a lot of doors, and eventually somebody said, well, yeah, I am thinking about selling my house, come on in, that's good probably for one transaction. But if I have the right business partners, this is not one transaction, but it's 2 or 3 or 4 over and over and over again. So what are the basics? Where would you network? Now I'm going to have, there are different levels, right? One of the levels that I'm going to talk about is what I would call a higher level. And frankly, it works better if you've got some experience and you've got a track record. And then there are other levels going down from that. And so at a basic level, anywhere you go where you can meet people that are likely to buy, sell, or invest in real estate would be a networking event or channel. And by the way, if of the American public, adults, what percentage of them would be interested in buying, selling, or investing in real estate? If not right now, sometime in the future. What percent? Well, it's almost everybody, right? And we're going to talk about that. That's almost everybody. Real estate networking, and I guess I left off a word. It's with the right people. That slide needs a little bit of work. Real estate networking events and real estate. So first of all, the first where to network is any place that you could go where there's other people that might buy or sell real estate is okay. There's also real estate networking events. And then there's real estate networking events with the right kind of people. And we're going to talk about that. You need to master the art of listening, and related to that is the art of asking questions. We're going to talk more about that. And you're going to need to stay connected and follow up, and I'm going to give you some ideas as to how you might want to do that. So in the where to network, now I'm going to narrow this down a little bit later, but this is not the complete list, right? The Chamber of Commerce, do you have a hobby? Do you have a hobby? Right. I've had people, one of the people that I mentored at let's just call it Elsewhere, Elsewhere Realty. One of the people that I mentored, she was, when she got started in real estate, she was reading a book called Selling with Soul. And what Selling with Soul is purportedly about, I have to admit, I have not read the book, but she had and gave me a report. What Selling with Soul is about is how to be a successful salesperson without actually being a salesperson, right? So that works. And she didn't want to be a regular salesperson. And I asked her, well, what do you like to do? And she said, well, I don't really have a hobby. All right. But she likes pets. She had a dog. She likes dogs. And I asked her, well, do you take your dog for walks? And she said, well, of course I do. Do you take your dog for walks where other people are walking dogs? She said, no. Are you a member of any dog groups? The answer is no. I said, well, why don't you walk your dog where other people are walking your dog? And why don't you go on Facebook or whatever and join all the dog groups that you can see? And if they have actual places where they all get together and they talk dog and they walk dogs and do that. Her first 4 transactions were all dog people. Right. And now the advantage of this is for a large percent of the public, real estate agents are pretty much all alike, right? At a certain level, right? One agent versus another agent. The general public doesn't think this is very difficult. And one agent or another agent, it's all pretty much the same. It really doesn't matter, right? There's sometimes a perception of that. So you like dogs and the client likes dogs. That's sometimes enough for them to want to work with you. Just the dog thing, right? Find a hobby, say yes more. And what I mean by saying yes more is when somebody says, hey, do you want to go to dinner? Do you want to have coffee? Or do you want to go to this event? Do you want to go to this group? You might want to say yes more. Because if you're not actually talking to people, and preferably on a one-on-one, face-to-face basis, your chances of getting business has gone down a lot. Some people are into different kinds of religious or spiritual groups, and they meet people there. I spent a long time at a company called Keller Williams, and a long time ago in 2003, Gary Keller wrote a book called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, right? And I had somebody emailing me the other day wanting a copy of an economic model, which is a spreadsheet that I did at KW a long time ago. And I sent it to him and I said, you realize that this was written in 2003. The world's a little bit different than it was in 2003, but the point of it is one of the examples that he used, which was not a Keller Williams agent back then, right? 2003 was, and still isn't, was an agent that's from the general area that I'm in that I actually know because she and I were in the same company at one time. And she was earning over $1 million in commissions. And what did she do? Well, she was very big in her church. She was in a local church. She was really big. The churches had buses where they would go on trips and events and things like that. And she had donated the buses to the church. And it said, by the way, on the side of the bus that it was donated by her, right? She was doing over $1 million a year. Most of it was coming from people she met at the church. Personal networking, which is a little bit different from professional networking, boards and committees, pets, I mentioned that, neighborhood groups, seminars, fitness and playing sports. Another agent that I had coached had what I considered a midlife crisis. And what I mean by that is that in her late 50s, she decided to run marathons. Now, I knew her well. We had worked together for 14 years. I knew her well, and this was a person who never went to the gym, never worked out, didn't like a long walk, but all of a sudden decided to run marathons and would get up at the crack of dawn and run with this group of people up and down this trail, and which I thought was crazy. You know, you might like that, but she started getting business, right? Because she was a marathon runner and they were marathon runners, and that was good enough. Taking classes, becoming a regular at coffee shops and things like that. Toastmasters, I'm going to talk a little bit more about, volunteering, online groups, posting up, which means doing things at a coffee shop. All of that sort of stuff are opportunities, but you sort of have to get out and do things. All right. Now, your net worth will determine your net worth. Usually when we use the term, you know, what's your net worth? We're thinking of, well, what are your assets and what are your liabilities, you know, and what's your net worth? Your net worth is going to be determined in large part by the network that you built. And this, by the way, is a residual income. And I know agents who don't market, right, in a traditional sense. They're not cold calling, they're not door knocking, they're not farming, they're not doing anything other than working their network. And they're making a lot of money. Now, one of the things that you want to look at is when you're picking people that you're going to work with is, number one, are they a service match? Now, what I mean by a service match is compared to you, are they better, equal, or worse at their job than you are? Now, some of you, if you're brand new, are thinking, well, everybody's better than me, which makes it easier. But if you're, in other words, where I'm going with this is that the people you're networking with and I'm going to talk about a particular strategy for doing that, the people that you're networking with ought to be at least as good at what they do as what you are, what you do. In other words, we don't want our referral partners, our business partners, to drag down our business. They also have to be relationship based. For example, I know people that are in the insurance industry who rarely ever talk to anybody, right? They email people and say, hey, you know, it's time for you to upgrade or renew or that sort of thing, but they don't even do it on the phone, right? They just send notices and email, and they're really not into building relationships with other people. So somebody that wants to work with me, they want me to refer them business, but I can tell they're not a relation-based professional, right? They're really not. Then I know they're not going to be a good networking partner because they're not going to be able to refer people like somebody that is relation-based. What about growth mindset? I know CPAs. In fact, I've met even landscapers that have said this when I asked them, are you looking to grow your business? That have said, no, actually, no, I'm not interested in growing my business. I have a lot of referrals and everything's pretty comfortable and I have more business than I can work with. See, that's not a good partner because they're not interested in growing their business. So they're not going to react to your, I'll get you referrals if you can give me referrals. They don't want you referrals, right? So we want somebody who's good at what they do, that is relationship based in how they do it, but also somebody that wants to grow their business, right? And then that would be a better match. Another question is, are you referable? Now, this is sometimes a challenge, and I'm going to go down into some lower level ones later, but if I'm expecting a lawyer, right? I know agents, especially sometimes they're brand new, say, I want to talk to lawyers and maybe I can get a lawyer to send me real estate business, right? Have you ever sold a house? No, I've never sold a house, right? Do you think a lawyer is going to refer you a client if you've never ever sold a house before? I mean, just think about it. Right? Do you think a CPA or a financial advisor, they may not. Now, there are other levels that you could work at, but you understand you have to be somebody that they could refer people to. Are you punctual? Do you show up on time? Are you trustworthy? Do you do what you say? Because if you're not punctual and you're not trustworthy and somebody sends you a referral and you're not reliable, you understand that this isn't going to work. Are you polite? Do you say please and thank you? One of the things I'm going to talk about a little bit later is saying thank you in a personalized way. It's not just calling somebody and say, hey, thanks for the referral or thanks for the meeting or whatever, but maybe sending them a handwritten note. We don't get a lot of those anymore. Some of you, by the way, that are on this webinar have gotten handwritten sort of notes from me, postcards and notes and things like that, and people call me up. Right, because it's, you know, it's not exactly look like I hand wrote it, but you understand if I handwrite a note and put it in a little envelope and mail it to somebody, that's different from what they're getting. I've said thank you in a way that's more special. Are you knowledgeable? Are you good at something or the best at something? What I mean by that is, do you have any kind of a niche or a specialty that you're good at? Are you good at, let's say, common interest developments, or good at probate transactions? Or are you good with people that want to buy farmland or luxury homes? You see where I'm going. And it's very difficult for you to be everything to everybody all the time. I know real estate agents would like to be, you know, I'll sell anything to anybody. I don't care if it's a mansion. I don't care if it's a little house. I don't care where it is. I don't care, just send me the business. That's a little bit more difficult to get referrals. It helps if you have niches that you can work. And it helps. I'll give an example later. Now, there's a system, and a lot of times in real estate, our systems are based upon 90-day turnarounds. Right. In fact, if you watch some of my previous sessions, I talk about the 90-day rule. And what the 90-day rule says is that conversations and things that I'm doing today are probably going to have effect in 90 days. And many of our systems are based upon a quarterly turnaround. So let's say the goal is for us to find 12 business partners that we're going to form a referral group with. And we're going to do things on a 90-day sequence. One of the things that we're going to do is we're going to have a Zoom meeting with our group. Why Zoom? Why don't we want to go out in person and talk to them? We're going to do that. But the Zoom meeting is kind of non-threatening. It doesn't require a lot of effort. We can do it together. And the idea is to find different partners. I'm going to go through the list, different partners that could refer business to each other. An agent that I also had worked with at Elsewhere Realty, his focus was estates and probates and things like that. And he got most of his business. And one year when I was there, he had done about 18 listings, and all of them came through estate attorneys and probate attorneys. And what he had learned is that there's a whole bunch of different kinds of estate planning attorneys and estate attorneys and probate attorneys. There were some that went to court and some that didn't go to court, and some that handled one thing but didn't handle the other thing. And what he found was that by helping those people connect to each other, they not only were sending each other business, they were sending him business. And I saw a hand up. If you want, did you want to ask a question? Or I'll unmute, let's see, or you could unmute yourself. Justin, did you want to ask a question?
Yeah, I was wondering if we're going to, at any point, begin to collaborate together in terms of leads that we have or ideas or things like that. You mentioned Zoom meetings. I thought maybe a once a week Zoom meeting for whoever wanted to be active. I mean, I don't even know who else is on your team or anything.
Well, we're not talking, this is not a team meeting right now. So okay. This is not focused. I have 50 people right now that are participating, and they're not, only some of them are on my team. That's something else, right, that we can talk about later, right? But that's not it, right? So we get our group, our posse together, people that are in different professions than us that could refer business to us. We start off by having a Zoom meeting guest speaker. And what that means is one of us, right, one of the participants will be basically saying, this is what I do, and this is how I do it, and that sort of thing. We'll get more into that. Another thing that we're going to want to do in our sequence, and we call this a mastermind group because I don't know, everybody else does, is that we would have one of the partners might host an event, right? It could be at their office, right? It could be at another office, it could be at a restaurant, whatever, and they get to share their wins, challenges, and opportunities, and they are the focus, and they're going to provide maybe sandwiches, sometimes just coffee, whatever. And then also what we want to do, and that one would be in person, also what we want to do is to identify local events where we could all go together as a group that when attending it might help all of our business. And it would be something that we could invite our customers and our clients to as well. That's just sort of a sequence, right? We're going to talk more about it. There we go. All right. So integrating into the business community. One of the things that you might think about doing, I would definitely recommend, is joining a local Toastmasters group. Now, that was on my other list, but people that are in a Toastmasters group are generally people that are looking to improve themselves, right? And then you get to talk about different things and you get to practice. And I've had a lot of people say, well, I'm not, good at talking in front of people. Maybe you might want to try that, right? Because you're going to meet other people that, are in a similar boat as you. And sometimes you can get some good referral business from the other people that are there. Even joining the local chamber of commerce, right? Or a group that is your hobby. But like the local chamber of commerce, I have people say, well, that's old school. It's still an important event, right? And yes, there are other real estate agents there, but it's still an important event. And there's a lot of people that are consistently going to those meetings that have been doing it for a long time, and we could make good referral partners. Do you think it's a good time to invite past clients to your family parties? A good thing. It depends on your family. There's a different issue about should you have a client appreciation event? I would say yes, right? Does it have to be an expensive thing? Not necessarily. For example, one of the things I'm going to be doing and that I, have done with clients and things like that is you pick a night when you're going to go to a happy hour, not usually on the busiest night, like a Thursday night, starting, let's say, at 5 o'clock. And what the host does is they buy hors d'oeuvres and things like that, maybe drinks, but that's sometimes an optional thing. And you can invite people. Studies have shown, this is getting a little off of this particular group, but studies have shown that if you communicate with your database at least twice a month, that your conversion rate of getting referrals and other business from that database can jump to about 4 to 5%. Right? That doesn't mean that they're actually all going to use you, but they might know somebody. If you could take that to a phone call at least once a quarter, right? In addition to just emailing people, you talk to them once a quarter, your conversion rate jumps again to between 5 and 7%. And then if you actually have at least an annual or biannual physically meeting with people, it increases your conversion rate to about 10 or sometimes more than that %. So the more we do that kind of stuff, the more business we're going to get. And whether or not your family get-togethers would qualify for that is not something I can, I can answer because I don't know your family and what it's like. My family, it wouldn't have been a good choice, right? Unless they want to see people fighting a lot. Number 3 is you could join a nonprofit. You could join a nonprofit, and that's doing good work for the community. If you are into that kind of thing, I talk about coming from contribution. If you do that, then you will be meeting people that are like-minded, and it's going to work a lot better. More. Let me see. All right. Rules of engagement. You need, and your referral partners have to deliver extraordinary service. Now, getting referrals from clients is about expectations. If I have a client and I meet their expectations, it means I don't get a bad review and they're not unhappy with me. But that doesn't necessarily mean, they might even be happy, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to refer me business. If I promise less and deliver more, and I exceed their expectations, now my chance of getting referral business has gone up dramatically, right? It's gone up. Number 2 is an interesting thing, because I've asked real estate agents this question before, and I'm always sort of disappointed, although I'm getting used to it, to the answer that I get. But let's say you were to go through your sphere of influence, right? If you've got a database, open it up, take a look at the people that are in there and ask yourself this question. Do you know what those people do for a living? Do you know them? And a lot of times real estate agents are like, no, I really don't know, right? I mean, I know the person. I mean, they're in my database. I showed them a house. I don't know what they do for a living. So you might want to learn your clients' occupations or potential clients' occupations. You also might want to ask yourself and ask them if there was any kind of a way you could refer them business. And if you were going to refer them business, what would be the ideal referral partner for them? Who would they be looking for, and what would their financial profile be? Depending upon what they do for a living, that could change a lot. You need to ask questions in order to uncover opportunities. And that's not just asking questions of my clients, but my referral partners asking the right questions to their clients. And I'm going to give you some examples of what those questions might be. And you need to create opportunities to connect with them, which could be coffee, it could be lunch, it could be coming to some sort of a meeting. This is something that I've said before to real estate agents, and I don't get to see what all your faces are like, but when I was doing this, and I could see everybody's faces, I would usually get funny looks from people, because one of the things that you ought to be tracking as a kind of a metric is how many coffee dates do you have on a daily, weekly basis with referral partners, potential clients, customers, how many? And the part that gets people to make faces is when I say, many of you are just not drinking enough coffee. I'm sorry, you're not drinking enough coffee. And the goal might be to have 2 coffee dates a day, 5 days a week, right? With people that you could refer business to. I recruited an agent that was a relatively good producer. And she was asking me, because I said, I can help you grow your business. And she said, all right, give me one thing, tell me one thing that I could do that I'm not doing that would give me more business. Give me one thing. And I said, go through your database, pick out the top 50 people that are in that database in terms of people that you know and their likelihood of referring you business, and go to lunch with one of them every week. Once a week, go to lunch and do it for 50 weeks. And she nodded and she said, yeah, that would probably get me more business, right? We know statistically that 40% of real estate business comes from referrals, and another 10 to 20%, depending upon whether buyers or sellers, comes from past customers and clients. We need to create opportunities to connect with the people. So the goal is to find eventually 12 referral partners. Now, those 12 referral partners, if they're professionals, could easily have 200 contacts, which would be 2,400 people in their network. And assuming that people move every 10 years, some areas it's more than that, some areas it's less than that, that's 240 transactions. You're not going to get all of them. But you could get 10% if it's done right. You could get 10%. You understand, if those 12 people that you are networking with could refer each 2 people a year to you, right, that actually do something in real estate, that would be 24 transactions. See, we don't need a referral a month, right? 24 transactions, most of you could live on that, right, in your market. If you were doing 2 transactions a month, you could live on that. Right? You might have to cut back a little, I know, but you could live on that. So the goal, you understand, we don't need 2,000 people in our database. We just need the right 12. And by the way, what I usually say, and in addition to those 12, if you also are working other referral areas where you find another 30 people that are willing to refer one person to you a year that actually buys or sells real estate, now you're doing more than 50 transactions a year. So assembling the team, realtor and lenders, right? There's a special relationship. And one of the things that I suggest is, even if you're new or even used in the real estate business and you don't have a good lender partners, is to seek out 2 lenders a day, 2 loan agents a day, 5 days a week, and do that for 4 weeks. The goal would be to talk to 40 loan agents in 1 month. Now, that's a lot of loan agents. Now, they're not all going to be useful. They're not all going to be receptive. We don't need all of them, right? If you had 2 or 3 or 4 of them that were going your way, That would be enough for our purposes. Right now, you're going to need one. Right now, you're going to need one. I've had agents that I was coaching saying, look, I tried, you're talking to lenders and it doesn't work. All right, how many have you talked to? And they said 4. I said, you haven't talked to enough. Keep talking. And she came back and said, hey, the next one I talked to, we had coffee together, we hit it off, we're having lunch, we're doing this together, we're doing that together. She's going with me in an open house. It's like, yeah, you just need to talk to enough of them. You don't need them all, we just need some. Professional affiliates. Now, agents will call me and they'll say, I have a client and the client's interested in investing in real estate. And they've never done it before, and neither have I, as a realtor. I've never done this before. And so they are asking me, should I do a long-term hold? Should I do a short-term flip? And which would be better, for my financial future? What would you say? What should I tell them? And when I get asked that question by somebody I'm working with, my response always is, are you a certified financial planner? And he goes, no. Have you ever taken courses in financial planning? No. Maybe you shouldn't be giving them financial planning advice. How about that? Maybe you shouldn't be doing that, right? So should you have a CPA? Should you have a financial planner? Should there be you see where I'm going. Home improvement affiliates. Home improvement affiliates. We're going to go through a list, but there's certain home improvements that are precursors to somebody selling their house. How many of them do you know, right? And by the way, if I were on a listing appointment and the seller said, well, you could see the tenants really trashed this place. The front yard is just awful. Do you know a good landscaper that could help us with the front yard? And I said, no, I don't know any landscapers. Oh, all right. Well, you could see our house needs to be painted, because, it's been a long time since we did it. You know any good house painters? And I said, no, I don't know any house painters. All right, well, we're going to need to redo the floor and the kitchen. You got any good flooring contractors we could talk to? And I said, no, I actually don't know any floor. See, it doesn't sound like I'm much of a real estate agent, does it? Right? How can you be a successful real estate agent? How can you be a real estate agent and not know anybody that does all those different things? And it's not just that we want a list, because I've had people say, well, my broker gave me a list of people that the office uses. That's not going to help you. Well, the Association of Realtors has a list of people. That's not going to help you, right? Because those are people that are already got relationships with other agents. You need your own posse. All right. So the key asset-based professionals, right? This is the top tier of people that could give you referral business, the loan officer, right? They're meeting the same kind of people that you're meeting, people that sell homeowners insurance. Those of you that are doing this regularly with me are going to see next week a presentation from an insurance company that specializes in doing homeowners insurance, and they work with real estate agents. Financial planners. I did a workshop with a financial planner, a certified financial planner, and what the workshop was about was how to send your kids to college and make money in the process. How to send your kids to college and have it not cost you anything. Well, how would you do that? Well, you would buy maybe a condo, right? Where the college was, a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo. Your kid stays in one, you rent out the other one to another college student, and then in 4 years you sell the condo, and there's tax, and he went through the tax write-offs and all the other kind of stuff. And of course, I'm there to say, I can help you with that purchase. You get the idea. Bankruptcy lawyers, divorce lawyers, and estate attorneys. Of the group, right, this would have been a good poll question. Of that group, of those 3, which one produces the most referral business? And it's an unfortunate comment, but the answer is the divorce lawyers. But I was talking about how a guy that I worked with the state attorneys, and he would have lunches where they would all meet for lunch. and they would talk to each other, right? He had joined the Estate Planning Association in his area so he could go to the mixers. It was an expensive thing. And then you also would need a CPA, right? These are the key asset-based professionals that could refer your business. Now, listing trigger events. If you had a house and you were going to sell it, who would you be talking to? Now, a landscaper, property management, it's really good for you to know property managers. Number one, because most residential real estate companies aren't going to let you do property management. Number two, because some of the people that are renting are going to become buyers. Number three, some of your clients that want to buy investment properties are going to want a property management company to manage the property for them, right? Now, the challenge or the, be careful, the, danger with property managers is they usually have broker's licenses. And some of them also sell real estate. That's not the one you want. There are other property managers, because they like to get referrals from real estate agents, don't sell real estate. They're not members of the Association of Realtors. They don't have a lockbox key. They're not in the MLS. All they want to do is property management. And by the way, when at EXP, we're sort of a cloud-based group, where if you were going to rent an office space like I have, you would pick one where preferably there was a lender, a property manager, a CPA, an insurance person. You would like to pick a place where there were people that would be in a position to refer you business and that you could refer business. And these are people you would see every day. I know agents who get referrals from window washers. Right? Think about it. Somebody's selling their house. What are they going to do? Are they going to remodel their kitchen? Are they going to put in new floors? Right? Do you have one of the agents that I coached was working at a company that sold essentially kitchen stuff, right? Kitchen counters and kitchen appliances and that sort of stuff. It was a retail store. And she had learned, she had a real estate license. She had learned when people would come in and they were asking questions about this or that, she would say, so, why are you, what brings you in here today? Why are you thinking of remodeling your kitchen? And a lot of people would say, well, because we're thinking about selling it. Oh, that's great. By the way, did you know that there is a study that gives you an idea, depending upon the type of remodeling that you do and how much you spend on it, how much you might be able to expect to get in an increased value of the sale of your home? Those of you, by the way, that are in my group, that are on my team, you already have access to that study in my document library. And if you're not on my team, then I just feel sorry for you, right? But you understand that. And she got so busy because she was meeting clients she asked the company she was working for if she could go part-time because she didn't have enough time to work with everybody. And they said no. So she asked me, well, what should she do? And I said, you need a partner, right? Because you're there generating leads. You need somebody that will follow up with them. This, by the way, is what I refer to as store knocking, as opposed to, door knocking. How many house painters do you know? There was a study done by a remodeling company of people that were painting their house. And the question they were asked the people is, why are you painting your house? And 25% of them said, we're planning on selling it. That's why we're painting our house. Tree trimmers, flooring contractors, roofing contractors, movers, these are all trigger events, right? People that are seeking out those professionals this is a trigger event, trigger for listings. So a plan of action. What are the things you want to talk about when you're talking to prospective referral partners? Is what is your communication frequency with your customers? And what I'm asking is, do you email them on a regular basis? Do you mail them a postcard on a regular basis? Do you call them on a regular basis? Are you doing anything? What do you do and what's the frequency? By the way, this is a side shimmy off of this. One of the other things, so you do 2 loan agents a day, 5 days a week for 4 weeks to find a couple of loan partners. After that, you might want to talk to 2 CPAs a day, 5 days a week for a month. Well, what would you say to them? Well, many CPAs, I have one, that many CPAs don't seem very good at marketing, right? They don't seem very good at referrals. They're good at CPAing, but they're not really good at marketing. Do you have access to sources? So could you help somebody put together a marketing piece? So one of the things that we were doing is this is how we would pitch it to the CPA, right? Let's say the CPA has 500 clients and I was going to arrange for a postcard to be made for them, right? They get to approve the copy and all that, right? And by the way, I know people that do this, but they would make a really nice professional looking postcard. And what we're going to do is give them, they usually don't give you their list because they're afraid you would abuse it. But they could provide the list to somebody that could send out the postcard. And the postcard, the front of the card had why they might want to connect with the CPA for a referral. And the back of the postcard where the envelope was had information about me and my team. Because what the CPA would do is I would take care of getting the marketing piece created, and they would pay the company because the list would go to a third company and that company would actually send it out, and they would pay to have the postcard printed and sent out. What does that cost? And a color postcard, 2-sided, everything labeled, stamped, sent out is about, let's say, 50 to 55 cents. I find a lot of loan agents also sell real estate. You ask them up front if they do. And so if your loan agents are selling real estate, you're talking to the wrong loan agents, right? If the loan agent works for Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, Golden One, Key Point Credit Union, they work for credit unions or banks. They're not allowed to sell real estate. They're not allowed to be active in the real estate business. And some of them don't even have real estate licenses, because if you work for an institutional lender, you don't even need to have a real estate license. I know this, some people may react negatively to this, but my experience has been loan agents that sell real estate are often not good real estate agents, and sometimes they're not good loan agents. Right, and they're doing a different set of loans. And the other and they will steal your client. Right, there was at an office I worked with, a loan agent, a mortgage agent was coming by and putting flyers in everybody's box. They asked if they could do that. We said okay. It was about a program they had for people that had a bankruptcy a few years ago, and they had a situation. And so one of our agents had a person that had a bankruptcy and referred it to the loan agent. And the loan agent said, since you've already found the house, if you let me write the offer, I could waive, almost all the loan fees. Huh? How about that? And so the buyer said, oh, cool. And they let the loan agent write the offer. And when we found out, I called the loan agent up and I said, not only will you never be allowed into this office again, I'm going to tell all the other offices not to let you in, right? It's hard to do both of those, right? Don't refer any loan business to a loan agent who sells real estate. And by the way, on the other side, if I have a listing and you're writing an offer and you're the realtor and for the buyer and you're the loan agent, we push your offer to the side, because I know that you'd kill the deal if you don't get to do the loan. And I would much rather go with somebody else. One of the things you want to tell your referral partners is that they're going to be your eyes and ears, but not your salesperson. You're not asking them to pimp you. right? You're not asking them to say, oh, you want to go and he's really good, right? That's not it. All we want you to do is to identify people that might be candidates, get the permission for us to talk to them, and let me take it from there. And there's a question, right? Showing gratitude in a personalized manner. If somebody sends you a referral, you ought to be grateful. It could just be a lunch. It could be something personalized. If you know that they have a particular hobby or a particular thing that they like, you also want to be meeting professionals and clients at local events, right? You want to go to the events, and you also want to have a network mastermind. And I'm going to talk about that really soon, right? Really soon. So asking questions, you're going to be, this is not only true for me and you, but this is also true for our business partners. You're going to be judged by the quality of the questions you ask. And you need to ask questions to uncover opportunities. For example, an asset-based professional, the question we would like them to ask their clients is, do you plan to buy or sell in the coming year? Now, I have a CPA. My CPA is trained to ask, did you buy or sell real estate last year, right? Because he's doing taxes, right? Did you do it last year? Now, that might help the CPA in determining their tax status today, but that's not going to help with a referral next year. Now, if I ask the CPA, would you like to know whether they're planning on doing it next year? They would say, well, yeah, that would be good for me to know, because depending on how they do it, it might affect their tax situation. So don't just ask, this is a suggestion, rather than just asking, did you do something last year? The question is, do you plan on doing something next year? And for the home improvement professionals, the house painters, the remodelers, the flooring contractors, the house painters, ask, what prompted this job for you? Sure, great. Now, would it matter? I'm a house painter. You have a house. You call me up. You want to get it painted. Would it matter why you were getting it painted? Would that matter? So for example, if you're getting it painted just because you plan on selling it, that doesn't mean you want a lousy paint job, but you may not want the best paint job, right? You want it to reach a certain level, right? It's just like when you're putting in carpet and things like that, right? There's what we used to call realtor's carpet. Right now, it's better to take them out, but realtor's carpet was a particular grade, not the highest grade and not the lowest grade, right? So it looked good, at the open house, but you weren't spending a lot of money. It's a relevant question. What prompted you to have this job done? And people will say, well, we're planning on selling our house. We're planning on buying a house, that sort of thing. I want to do both, but not on the same transaction. Refinancing is good. Yeah, I'm not saying it's bad to do loans and sell real estate. I'm just saying that I would never, if you have a real estate license and you're active, I will never refer somebody to you, right? A purchase. I would never do that. In fact, I wouldn't refer a refinancing to you. I would never refer business to you if you sell real estate. And the reason is because I'm giving you my client. And yes, and you might want to think about this, when interest rates go up, what's going to happen to your refinancing business? And when interest rates go up and refinancing dies, where does the business come from? And the answer is loan business comes from purchases, which are controlled by real estate agents. If you want to make a lot of money as a loan agent, what you want is a group of real estate agents that will refer business to you. And if you're selling real estate, that's going to be very difficult to do, right? But yes, you can do refinancing and you can do your own purchases, but don't expect to get referrals from very many other real estate agents. And it's not because you would rip them off, but why take a chance, right? I send business to Jody Hatano at Golden One. She doesn't even have a real estate license. She's not going to sell real estate. right, to anybody. Wells Fargo isn't going to try and steal my client. They're not going to do anything because they're not allowed to, right? So you have to sort of decide what your niche is. And by the way, everything that I'm talking about, also, everything I'm talking about applies to loan agents too. You could be doing the same thing, but with other professionals. I'm just saying you get to a different situation if you're trying to do both. Just saying. Just saying. All right. So what else? I actually have a thing that added up with the points so you could score yourself, but I took that part off because I didn't want, this wasn't going to be a test. So building your network, 5 asset-based professionals, that would be a goal. A CPA, financial planner, loan originator, insurance attorney, right? 5 asset-based professionals, 7 listing trigger vendors, right? Would be an example, a painter, a landscaper, a roofer, that sort of thing. 3 local, and the 10 per is giving you a point score if you've got this, right? So I'm not asking you to add up your points, and I'm not going to publish it. 3 local businesses, right? Restaurants, hardware store, hair salon, etc. And then time blocking networking activity, 1 hour per week for one-on-one with networking prospects, right? Which would be 10 per week, right? 1 hour per week, one-on-one with a networking partner, 1 hour per month with a monthly meeting with the network, quarterly events that you all promote and attend. And then points for questions. Ask your sphere if they have a vendor need as a real estate resource. Your goal as a realtor is to be their source for everything. So I have clients who ask me about refinancing. I refer them to somebody. I would rather they ask me for a referral for a loan agent than the other way around, right? Because I might not get it. Are your people asking what prompted the work that you're doing? Would they like an introduction to a professional realtor? Do an introduction for a professional in your network, which means you're doing it the same. This is sort of a plan, right? For those of you who like plans. One of the other things that I've done at elsewhere and other groups that I've been with is a mastermind book club. And when I have, you have your 12 people, right, that you want to get together and they're going to be part of your networking group, is that you would pick a book, and here's just some examples of books. And the idea is we're all going to read the book Endless Referrals. And then we're going to meet and discuss the book, right? And we would sometimes meet at coffee, and it might be once a month. We would all meet and talk about the book. Did you read the book? What did you think about the book? What about this? What about that sort of thing. Again, we're looking for people that are interested in growing not just their business, but themselves, right? As you should. Your mastermind group should read and discuss a book every quarter. Just an example, right? These are some samples. Real estate vendor scripts. All right, now I'm bringing it down a little bit, where let's just say you're like, well, I don't know, no CPA, I don't know CPAs, talking to lawyers scares me, How about this? I go through the Yellow Pages. I go through Yelp. Somebody was talking about the Yellow Pages and the thing, and I was like, do they still even have that? God, how old is that person? But anyhow, I go through Yelp and I find landscapers. And I call the landscaper up. I'm looking for an independent landscaper. I'm not looking for part of a great big company. Looking for an independent landscaper. And I would say, this is what I say. I say, hi, my name is Mike Devlin. I'm a realtor with eXp Realty, and I'm putting together a preferred vendor list for my client database. I happen to need a good landscaper, right? Because, people that are buying and selling homes, need landscapers, and I'm asked about that. And I was looking at your Yelp reviews, and it seems like you're killing it in landscaping. You got great reviews, congratulations. Now, let me ask you this, are you taking on new clients at this time? Are you? I've had people say no, right? I had a guy quit, I got a big project, I ain't doing it anymore. Great, call another landscaper. The next one says, well, yes, as a matter of fact, I am taking on new clients. Oh, great. Maybe we could work together. Maybe we could work together. When your clients have real estate questions, do you have somebody that you refer them to? Sometimes they would say, yes, my wife's an agent, my husband's an agent, my son's an agent, my father's an agent, my brother. Great. Call another landscaper. Now, you understand if you were doing this for a little while, you're going to soon meet a landscaper who, number one, wants to increase their business, right? Growth mindset. Number two, does not have a referral relationship with a real estate agent already. You got one. Now, if you've been to real estate meetings where the lawyers and brokers are talking, do they tell you to give somebody one name? If somebody says, do you know a landscaper? Should you only give them one name? Or should you give them maybe three? You understand you need more than one landscaper. Now, one of the lines here that, and I'm not going to read the script for, I mean, you can read it, but one of the lines that people sometimes ask me about people being real estate agents is this one here. Since I have you on the phone, do you have two people that you refer real estate related business and questions to? So people sometimes say, well, why two? Because they may already have one, but they may not have two. And should they have two? Should they have more than one realtor? You're supposed to have more than one landscaper. Should the landscaper have more than one realtor? Does the client always get along with the real estate agent? Is the real estate agent always available? Remember, you just want to get your in the door and do good service and that sort of thing. So this is, you can word it yourself. I just say the words, but this is another example of a script. I'm in the process of creating a list of preferred business and service providers to give my clients, including my real estate website. Since I figure their clients look at me for a good landscaper, plumber, electrician, whatever, I'm looking for trusted professional company to refer them to. I've heard good things about your company. Would you and your business be interested in being included? Right? Probably yes. Yeah, it's great to like to establish a referral, grow each other's business. I would refer clients to you. Would you be willing to refer clients to me? If they say no, great. Call another landscaper. This is a follow-up type of a script once you've actually sent them a client. And I've actually said this, great, I was looking to develop this professional referral partnership to help grow each other's business. So if I continue to refer clients to you, would you be willing to refer clients and friends that are looking to buy or sell to me? And they say, well, of course, great. It looks like you owe me one. Doesn't it? Looks like you owe me one. And if you smile, anyhow. And then I don't know, I lost a word over there. But anyhow, to grow, this is another script for growing the vendor list, right? So an 8-week plan. Once I've talked to somebody and they said, yes, let's work together. That sounds great. I should send them week one, send them a handwritten note. Week 2, I'm going to call them. What's the script for the call? Did you get my handwritten note? Right? And chat, don't too much time. Week 3, send them an item of value like a newsletter. What's going on in the market? By the way, I've encouraged some of my vendors like landscapers and people like that. Do you have information that you like to share with people? I have a blog, I have a website. If you had something that you'd like to share, I would put it on my website, put it on the blog. I would include your contact information in. And they might not know what's going on in the real estate market, and so I could send them a newsletter. Week 4 is a phone call. What's the phone call about? Did you get my item of value? Right. Week 5, you send them another item of value. It could be a holiday greeting or something like that. Week 6 is a phone call. Did you get the item of value? Week 7 is another item of value. And week 8 is a phone call once a week for 8 weeks. We're doing this so that when somebody does say, a real estate agent, they're actually going to think of you. So what do you do after 8 weeks? You should send them emails at least twice a month. Call them every quarter. Follow them on social media. Find out if they're on LinkedIn and if they're on Facebook and TikTok, wherever, Instagram, follow them. When they post a picture of their sushi lunch, you like it and ask a question. And if they have a birthday, you acknowledge it. You send them something. Now that's some information about me in case, you wanted more information about me. And I want to give you and I also have included a preferred vendor list categories in case you have trouble thinking of who you might add. And then I'm going to make two comments, and then we're going to, throw in the towel. Do you ask for their home address, or are you sending the handwritten note to their business? If I know their home address, which if they own a home is kind of easy to do, I would send it to their home. If I don't know their home address because they don't own one, or I don't know, I would send it to their business. Two examples. One, somebody that had gone through my real estate school a long time ago wanted to join a bunch of professional networking events. She's at Elsewhere Realty. And what she found is that the BNI chapter, there was a waiting list for realtors, right? That Lake Tip, which is another one, there was a waiting list for realtors. And so she said, well, forget that. She created her own. So she went through the list and found a title rep and a lender and found contractors and a lawyer and a CPA. She found her own group. I mean, you pay people money to join Lake Tip, which is one of these groups, so that they could meet at Denny's and have breakfast, once a month or whatever. You could do that your own. Could you send us the slides? The slides can be downloaded, but yes, Jerome, if you want, I could send them to you, but there's a handout thing in GoToWebinar. You can just download them. She created her own referral group, patterning it off of BNI, right, in terms of how often they met and what they talked about, but wasn't called BNI. They just formed their own group, and it took a little while for it to kick in, but pretty soon she was getting listing after listing after listing. Another thing about internalizing this, I had an open house in Gilroy. It was my listing. And one of the people that I was mentoring wanted to watch me do an open house. Oftentimes agents say, I want to see you do an open house. And so she said, I want to see the master do an open house, right? It was an ugly day, rainy and drizzly and dark, and hardly anyone came to the open house. And finally this couple show up, and they're going through the open house fast, right? The husband and wife. And I'm trying to get them to talk to me, and they're not having anything to do with me. Right? The husband isn't saying a word. The wife is barely being civil. There was a second floor, and as they were walking up, and she said, we can look at the house by ourselves. Thank you. We just want to do this on our own. I said, fine. Now I could see out of, the corner of my eye, the person that I was mentoring was laughing, right? Because she, obviously I don't have magic words, right? Because this was bombing. It wasn't going anywhere. And they come down the stairs and they're heading towards the door. And I said, so do you want to buy the house? And she's like, no, it's not going to work for us. And I said, all right, that's great. Well, have a great day. By the way, what do you folks do for a living? She points at the guy and she says, he's a plumber. And I said, a plumber? Well, that's fantastic. I'm putting together a preferred vendor list for my client database. And I happen to need a good plumber, right? A lot of leaky houses, right? And so I need a good plumber that I could refer to my clients. Is he any good? He starts laughing, and I could see her calculating in her head, and she opens up her purse and she said, he's fantastic. I manage his plumbing business. And out of her purse comes a business card. First name, last name, office phone number, email, cell phone number, right? Because I could see her doing the calculation. We're plumbers. This is a real estate agent. Maybe we should be nice to him, right? In 2 weeks, we were in contract on another house. They were leaving. So my question about finding out what people do isn't just for your sphere of influence, but also for people that you meet, because they might be doing something that would fit one of these lists. All right, I've gone on and on and on, obviously. So thank you very much. I hope you, had fun. Maybe not fun, but anyhow, I hope you found this valuable. If you're interested in growing your business and you'd like to talk to me about how you could do that, maybe I could help you. I would love to, network with you. Thank you very much, everybody. Stay safe out there. Have a great day. Bye.